This will make you laugh. Well, actually, it'll make you laugh because it's not true. It's a lie. If it were true, it'd make you cry. I'm going to talk about Steven Bergwijn in a second. But before I talk about that, I've got to tell you about this story that I came across, not like that, obviously, that I stumbled across, let's put it that way, when I was trying to do my research on Steven Bergwijn. And let me just read this out to you now. West Ham United could attempt to re-sign this Serie A winger should Moyes bring him back. It's Felipe Anderson. It said West Ham United could attempt to re-sign Lazio winger Felipe Anderson. It's been stated that the Hammers are hoping to bring him to the London Stadium. No, they're not. Anyway, I thought it's believable though the way they write it, and that was on. You can go and check this stuff out for yourself if you want. If you're wasting your time, but that's from a website called The Fourth Official. Another website which is a Caught Offside. They're a big website. I mean, but please don't go on there and read all the stuff and expect it all to be true. It's not what it is. But anyway, so they got like a little clickbait one going on. So the strap line is, West Ham could make a surprise move for winger with 12 goals and 13 assists. That sounds tempting. I clicked on that. It was Felipe Anderson. Look, I'm not going to spend any time talking about Felipe Anderson. We lost a lot of money on the player. I think he's got 6 months left on his contract. He might sign a pre-contract agreement with Aston Villa. Most likely he'll probably go to Juventus. Come on. He ain't coming to West Ham. Let's be perfectly honest here. Can you imagine? Honestly. So anyway, we'll leave that be. The Steven Bergwijn story. Yesterday, I did the video yesterday about Mikel Antonio and the injury and so on and so forth. So yeah, thanks for everybody that watched that video and posted in the comments. But quite a few people in the comments said, oh, what are your thoughts on Steven Bergwijn? Which is why I was doing that research and why I ended up looking at that Felipe Anderson stuff. So anyway, thanks for leaving the comments. So here's my opinion on it. Well, I think the reason that people are asking about it is because I think you're probably thinking the same way I am, which is the source of the story, which of course is Fabrizio Romano. I mean, the more he gets right, the more you trust him. I've always been one of sort of trying to note down what people got right as much as what they got wrong. I think it's the only fair way to do it. But he does get an awful lot right. I mean, do you remember when we were buying Edson Alvarez, Mohamed Kudus, and Mavropanos? He would always, a picture would always pop up, wouldn't it, on social media? It'd be Tim Steiten on a private jet, arm round the agent, arm round the player. Fabrizio Romano would what's he, I can't even remember what his catchphrase is. Here we go, that's it. Here we go. West Ham are about to sign Mohamed Kudus, whatever. I think he knows Tim Steiten, is my point. I think he does. He clearly knows a lot of people. So I think when I see something written by him, I'm thinking, okay, I believe this. This is believable. It's why the other day when we did the Tilo Kehrer thing, and we looked and it was him saying it. Look, it's not wrapped up yet. It looks like he's going to Monaco. Monaco weren't particularly in the running for Tilo Kehrer. A lot of clubs were. But I mean, in the news, I do a lot of transfer updates on this channel, right? If you go back and look at them, it was, yes, Tilo Kehrer's going, but I don't think up until 2 or 3 days before, Monaco weren't being mentioned. And he said, Monaco, Tilo Kehrer to Monaco, being wrapped up in the next 48 hours. It was done. It was wrapped up in the next 48 hours. He had the deal right, the loan, the mandatory obligation if you really fancy it, but if you don't want to buy clause. He had that in there as well. He gets a lot right. So when he says, and this is the point, let me read his tweet to you, just in case you haven't read it. You can go and search it if you want. I'll just read it to you. You just trust me, I'm not going to pop it up. He said, I understand Steven Bergwijn is one of the top targets for West Ham in the January transfer window, in case they will be able to find budget after outgoings. We'll leave that because it's so sort of ambiguous, isn't it, last bit? He says, more Premier League and Saudi clubs are also keen on Bergwijn, as he could leave Ajax in case of a good proposal. Look, there's some pidgin English there. Of course, naturally, he's Italian English, not his first language. He does remarkably. Let's be fair, he's English far better than my Italian. And so, but what you get, the kernel of the story is right, which is West Ham are interested in Steven Bergwijn. I believe it to be true. Let's put it that way. That Felipe Anderson on the poppycockometer is definite poppycock. Hold on, I've just realised I've got my cable. Pardon the expression. Got my cable stuck in. this one, I believe. Do I believe we're going to get him? I don't know. I believe there's interest there. And anyway, it got me thinking about Steven Bergwijn, actually. Good player. Suits us. I mean, really does suit us. And my mind, I mentioned before him playing well against us. Since I've sort of refreshed my memory by double checking, it was the Carabao Cup. Carabao Cup. It was where Jarrod Bowen scored that really neat goal where he did the quick feet. Bergwijn scored a goal and set up another for Lucas Moura. But I mean, he was really good. Really, really good. Very direct. And then I started looking at some more of his stuff, and it reminded me of, that performance that he did against Leicester and his performance against Manchester City. A lot of people call him a flop. Actually, if you read a lot of the Steven Bergwijn to West Ham, I would say West Ham now interested in former Tottenham flop. That's how he gets described. Okay, yeah, I mean, perhaps he didn't have the best of careers there, but I also think it is fair to say that there was about an 18-month period where even Heung-min Son was struggling at Tottenham. So I don't think they had the most progressive and attacking managers there, did they? So did he flop at Tottenham? I guess he did. But I think a lot of players didn't play particularly well during that time. I would imagine you'd see a very, very different Steven Bergwijn under Ange Postecoglou. Anyway, so I think we're interested in him. I think the interesting dynamic here is the Ajax one. Whoops. Are we going to go get another player from Ajax? It looks like they're about to sell another player as well. Just scrolling through Fabrizio Romano's news feed, they're about to sell another player as well. In terms of the player himself, I do think it would fit into West Ham. I really do. David Moyes has sort of hinted that he wants a left winger. Is he a left winger? Well, he can play on the left wing. I've seen him play there plenty of times. He can also play on the right wing. He can play just behind as well. What I like about him as a footballer is he's direct and he does his stuff fast. And for that reason, he is the polar opposite of Saïd Benrahma, who will always seem to try and take a step over, check back in on his other foot. He looks for the early pass. So he's a scorer of goals. He's done well. I did have his record up somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have it here. 2 seconds. Let me just have a little look here. 13 matches this season for Ajax, 7 goals, 2 assists, 4 yellow cards. He come to join the club. I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? I mean, I was joking then, it was about Edson Alvarez, really, but you'd have a situation where I think last season he played in the same team as Kudus and Edson Alvarez as well. Sort of makes sense, this. 26 years of age. That would appeal to David Moyes. He's not a youngster, is he? But also he's not an old codger either. So he's going to hit the ground running. And I think he's good. I really do. I do. Passes early, shoots early, does everything quick. I just think he suits West Ham's style of play. And just finally, just before I finish, obviously we've got a game coming up. We'll be looking forward to that. So we'll see you later on for the game. It's just a Timo Werner stuff. It looks like Timo Werner's going to Tottenham. See a few comments of that in the chat. I agree with the vast majority of you who think we've probably missed out there. I think he's another one that would have suited our style. But I think probably console yourself with the fact that we never would have got him. There were 2 things on this. Firstly, you hear there's no deals that can be done in January. Tottenham are getting him on loan. There are deals to be done in January. I refute that. It's a cliche that doesn't stand up to argument. You can argue, if someone says that to you, there's no good transfers to do in January, you can argue that, you can win an argument easily. It doesn't stand up. It's a cliche that people throw out there without really thinking about it. Right? So anyway, Timo Werner, I think he would have been really good for us. He said he wanted to go and play for Ange Postecoglou, apparently, because he couldn't wait because of their attacking style of football. So look, when you take that into account, he was never going to join us, right? That's what the type of football he wants to play in. I mean, the great irony is, I'm sure he'll do very well there, because I think he's better than he showed at Chelsea. I really do, and I think he's fast enough, and he probably would, and he can play in a couple of positions as well. I think he probably would have suited us quite well, actually. And I would have liked to have got him, but that's okay. You know what? If we don't get him, we get Steven Bergwijn. Well, you know what? He suits our counter-attacking style really, really well as well. Whether we do or not, I don't know. Just takes us back to that final bit of what Fabrizio Romano said. If I can just find it there. He said one of the top targets for West Ham in case they will be able to find budget after the outgoings. We know what he means. He's suggesting we've got to sell. But, forget that. We've already got one out. We can bring this guy in if we really want to. There's not a queue of people to come and sign Saïd Benrahma and Maxwell Cornet. If David Moyes wants to get more money for them, I was going to say he needs to start playing them. I think the horse was bolted, quite frankly, with Saïd Benrahma. I think there's no benefit to playing him. But maybe if he plays Maxwell Cornet in a couple of games, particularly with Antonio being out, he might up his value. He might be able to get shot of him. But quite frankly, I think if this guy's going to make the difference, then West Ham probably need to borrow against the overdraft or do whatever. Bring Bergwijn in, because we already know that it won't scupper our financial fair play. Bring Bergwijn in and then look to sell the players. I think it's got to be the only way it's done. Anyway, right, I'll catch up with you later on for the game.